Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney Spencer. It's great to meet all of you. I am an assistant adjunct professor here at Tyler, and I am here to teach you about Adobe XD. I have my Adobe XD up here. This is Adobe's take on or application for website design, app design, any kind of digital screen design. You can access Adobe XD by going to your Creative Cloud here. It should be one of the first apps mentioned. While we're here, I want to quickly go over libraries because it's something that we will come back to. So if you go to your work, the first thing that you'll see is I was brought to my files tab right here. And I want to highlight that you can save this file in the cloud or on your computer. I prefer to have all of my documents saved on the cloud because I can access it from any computer that I can access my Adobe Cloud from. And in Adobe XD, you can work on files together. So I could share my file that I'm about to work on with all of you, and all of you could access it and work on it together. So it's a really great feature in Adobe XD that I don't think is in any of the other applications yet. The only competitor I know that is doing that in the prototyping space is Figma. So we have our cloud documents here. So these are all the documents that I have that are stored on Adobe Cloud, and I can access them here. I can also access files that are shared with me. So same thing, if you have a file that you have saved on the cloud and you want to share it with me, you just need my email and you can share it with me. The next place I want to go to is libraries, which is what I was explaining earlier. So under your work, and if you go to libraries, what you can do is you can create these libraries where you can store colors, icons, photography, any kind of creative asset, and you can create these assets in Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, XD, and then access them from any of the applications. I apologize if this is something that you're already really familiar with from working in this course, but it's important because you did just learn Illustrator and Photoshop where you were creating assets. And a lot of the time, what we do is we create these assets and then we bring them into Adobe XD to create the final product, a website or an app. So this is important here as we open up XD, so something to be familiar with. I'm going to head back into apps and open up Adobe XD. I already have it open up. So if you wanted to create a new file, what you would do is you would just simply click on whatever screen you're going to start prototyping for. So I clicked on a mobile screen. If I wanted to create multiple, I can just hold down Option and Shift, and I can create more. I can also do Command C, Command V, and copy and paste more artboards. The last thing I can do to create more artboards is simply grab my artboard tool over here and select what size. Let's say I want to do a tablet. I can select the tablet. I can also just click. So because I had tablet selected, when I just click with the artboard tool, it creates a new iPad. Last thing I want to note while I'm in this little artboard tool, if I want to create a page that a user would have to scroll on, I would just simply drag down the artboard and you'll see this dotted line appear. This is the fold line. So we say anything above the fold is what a user will see without having to scroll. So if the user would have to scroll, it would be under this dotted line. You can adjust this if your screen is taller or shorter. I prefer to just keep it there, and this will pop up for all of them. So I'm going to click out of this and I'm going to open up the document that I have pre-made for you guys just to go through a few things. So I'm going to go in again. As you can see, my document is saved to the cloud. So if I wanted to add any of you to this, I would just simply add your email here. So quick overview of this structure here and getting a lay of the land for Adobe XD. At the top here, you have design, which is the portion that we're on right now. When we have screens set up, which I have an example of here, you can hit prototype and you can see how these screens are prototyped together with these lines here. So this is all of your functionality for prototyping, and then the last is share. So I'll move my zoom here. To share, this is a really great functionality for stakeholders, for sharing with developers, for sharing with other designers, developers, and you can create different ways to share your document, which we'll go through towards the end. In this session, I just want to go over the lay of the land for design, and then we're going to get into some prototyping functionalities. So starting off with some basics, we have over here on the panel artboard, which we already went over. I'm going to draw out just a random size. You can adjust the size here, or you can go back to a predetermined size. You have shapes, which is pretty similar to the other applications. You would just personalize them over here. There's some really great ways to personalize these shapes. You can adjust the fill, you can adjust the stroke. I would definitely encourage all of you to take some time and play with these so you can familiarize yourself with the ways that you can adjust these guys. So, oops, my bad. You have line, and then you also have pen. We can use the pen tool to create custom shapes like we would in Illustrator. I will say that the pen tool in Illustrator is significantly easier to use. You definitely can use the pen tool in Adobe XD, but if I were to go in and draw a logo, I would do that in Illustrator and then bring it into my libraries, which I'll speak to next. Last tool over here is you have your zoom in, your zoom out. You can also hit Command minus, Command plus. You can also hit your space bar and move the board around. You can also hit Command Z to do undo. Those are like the big key commands. Over at the bottom here, you have layers, and then you have plugins. I currently don't have any plugins, but I know a lot of people like to use them. So what I was saying with the libraries, if I hit up here in document assets, I can access all of those libraries that I had in my Creative Cloud. So these libraries are the same as these. So AppBar is a business that I work with. It's an app, it's like GoPuff, but specifically for beverages in Argentina. This is their branding. So these are all the blues that they use. These are all the reds that they use, the yellow. These are icons that we created in Adobe Illustrator, and I can just drag and drop them into Adobe XD. Because I have this little link here, it means that the master for this icon lives somewhere else in another file. And if I were to edit it here, it would impact it in the other file. If I were to change it in the other file, it would impact it here. So that's what that little link means. All right, cool. So I am going to go back to my document asset. So if I were to go into libraries, that would be for like another library that I had created, but I have not created a library specifically from this document yet. So right now it's just document assets. So currently, I'm going to delete these. I have my colors for this file. I have my character styles for this file, and I have my components. All of these are already pre-filled in from this example here. So these are all the colors, typography, and components that I had used when I was creating this example. The first thing I want to go over is colors. So I have some colors predetermined here. One just like quick thing that's always really helpful to call out for colors with UI design is your colors should be consistently applied to create user patterns. So when I'm sitting here and I'm saying like, I want my color palette to be blue and green, I'm going to say like, okay, we're going to use dark blue or black for anything that is static. The user cannot click on that information, and make sure that those colors are only applied to those scenarios. And we're going to use cobalt blue, this blue here, for anything that's a link. It's anything that you can click on. And then we're going to use green for any status information. So anything that will inform the user of status of where a shipment is or what the status of the order is or anything like that. And it's really important that we have consistent applications to create user patterns and avoid confusing or frustrating any users. So with that, it's really important that we apply the same colors to similar scenarios across the board. And I'm saying all this because I like to make sure that the colors are all linked. So if I were to go in and present this to a stakeholder and they're like, you know, we don't like blue, we want to change it to pink, I can then go in really quickly, edit my color here and change it to pink. And you just see that it changed everywhere where that specific color was applied. So the way to organize your colors like this is you'll just simply grab a color. Actually, I'll do it over here. Let's say I'm testing my different pinks. Oops. I have this guy, and then I just simply add it with this plus button here. You can also, hold on, I'm gonna hit undo. So when I hit undo, it removes the palette. I can also add a color here. However, you cannot change the color globally from this palette. So I can't go in and right click and edit the color. So I only use this to quickly apply colors, but if I have a color that I know is going to be changing and I need to have global access to it, I want to add it here. So that's like kind of the big call out here is make sure you're organizing your colors over here and not on the color palette panel over here. Last thing I'll call out is you can change the opacity. You can change from hex to RGB. You can use a linear gradient or a radial gradient, and you can also rename these. If you just double click on the name, let's say I'm going to say like static blue. And like this one will be link blue. So that's always really helpful to stay organized. Same exact thing applies to character styles. So same concept as colors. In the world of UI, you want to make sure that your typography application is consistent in all scenarios. So if you notice here, my header is the same font on every screen. So the user knows, oh, this is the top of the page. This is the greeting. This is the header. It provides similar information. Same thing with my buttons. I have the same font applied to every single button. So the user knows, oh, this is the same font as the last button I saw. This must be a button. So same thing, what I do whenever I'm starting off my files is I will add whatever fonts I'm using to my character styles. Big. I have some fonts in here from Google Fonts. Let's find, yeah, Lato is always a good one. Let's make it really big. So I can make it big by either, if you see what I did was I used this type of text box. I'm going to do my fixed size. I'm going to make it really big. Make sure this goes to Lato. There we go. All right, so I have my hello really big. This is for headers. Let's make this body copy. All right, usually for body copy, I like to stick to 14. So I will just simply add it here and here. Same thing. You can adjust the name. You can edit over here. You have all of your different capabilities for customizing typography here as you do over here. You should be good to go. I'm going to hit undo for both of these. All right, last one. If you have fallen asleep on me, please wake up. I know that we are at 14 minutes. So this is really important. So components. Components are icons, logos, or greater builds, which we call components of those items. So, for example, this whole piece here is a build of multiple assets. This is a component. I have this little explanation here. So if you want to come back to this file, I have my explanation of colors. I have my explanation of character styles here. And I also have components. So components are really great because same thing. I have a header, right? So I have a header that's going to go on every single page. The header will be consistent on every single page, but let's say I want to make a change. Client comes in, they say, we want to change the logo a little bit. Cool. Instead of having to go in and change the header on all 40 pages, I just have to change it once in the component and it will apply to all of the scenarios. The components will be saved in the library here. They can be accessed and edited in Photoshop and Illustrator, InDesign, etc. So I have a screenshot of where you can find them in document, assets, and components. What I also have here is how the component lives in the document. So this is just literally the component from the design here. So these are all the same component. But if you notice, this one here is a screenshot of the master component. It has a green diamond. This is an example of the copied component. This one has a white diamond. So let's go to the main component. So I'm going to hit edit main component. It's going to generate the main component because it currently is not on the file. So if you notice, this one has the green diamond to indicate this is the master component. So any changes that I make to this component, the master component, are going to be changed everywhere. So go in, make this pink like the client asked, make this orange, red like the client asked. And if you notice, I apologize for any dizziness this is creating, it changed in every single scenario. Let's say though, so this is a copied version of the component because it has the white diamond. Any changes I make to this one are only going to be applied in this specific scenario. So I want to change the colors, but like I said, because it's copied version, it only applied to that scenario, which is fine. That definitely has a use case. It's just really worth knowing. All right, so, oh yeah, so I edited the master component. These are just screenshots. They weren't saved there. So I'm gonna hit undo, so it's specific. Cool. So that is components. It's really helpful. The last thing is I'll highlight here is you can also edit your main component from this panel. You can also, let's say, let me find another one. Let's say like my list here is really long of all my components. Let's say I can't find it in there. You can do reveal components and assets and it'll automatically take you to the component here as well. So those are just some quick tips. So this is really great for working more efficiently and saving yourself some time and accessing these components in other Adobe apps like Adobe or like Illustrator and Photoshop. I'm going to take a pause here and then I'm going to dive into prototyping. It'll be probably like 4 or 5 minutes. I just want to take a quick break here so everybody can just stand up and stretch before moving on to prototyping.